Valley, and I want to share a little bit about exponential technologies and how they touch our lives every single day. So when it comes to exponential technologies, actually, what is it? This is basically, I'm going to talk a little bit about artificial intelligence, 3D printing, which some of the other speakers have spoken about, drones, and robotics. So what is exponential technology? This is the stuff that's happening really, really fast these days. This is basically within a certain period of time, this technology is doubling in its capacity and its performance. And the unique and interesting thing about exponential technology is it's making it more and more essential and indispensable for solving some of our problems today. So let me give you an example. Way back in the 1970s, there was a company called Cray Supercomputers, and I had the pleasure of visiting them in 1984, 1985, just as they introduced the Cray supercomputer. And the interesting thing about this crazy, huge computer was that it weighed 5,500 pounds. It was 4 feet tall, 4.5 feet wide, and in those days, it was priced at around $12 million. And this, at the time, was the fastest computer on the planet. This did about 1.9 billion transactions per second. Now compare that to 2020, when they introduced the Apple iPhone. This iPhone basically costs less than $1,000, weighs about 6 ounces, and is 5,000 times faster than the Cray supercomputer. So this is an example of what exponential technology can do in the course of about 35 years. But let's really talk about how it affects us on a daily basis. So think about this. It's Wednesday morning. You've woken up after a really good night's sleep in your 3D printed house. And basically, this house is 40% cheaper, 50% faster to build, with basically zero construction waste in the whole process. And the nice thing is about this particular house, it is the first 3D printed house that's made completely from recyclable material and biomaterial. So this is built in the state of Maine, which is a heavy forestry state in the United States. And it's all made from wood byproducts and plant resins. And the kind of fun thing about this is that it's not just 3D printed houses, but there's so many other things that are touching our lives with exponential technology and 3D printing. The next big trend is now tailored medicine to your body physiology and your actual health concerns. And so now we're starting to see 3D printed medications, pills, tablets, etc., that are tailored for you and what your body needs. 3D printing also plays into the furniture that you probably sat on in a park, in a restaurant. We can print with lots of different materials. In the upper right-hand corner is printing of car parts using metal. And this is something that we're going to start seeing more and more of because it's easy to print those sometimes, and it's faster to do that than it is to actually have them shipped from a particular location in the world. We're also looking at stuff like the house that's sort of concave in shape. That is a 3D printed house in Italy, printed with local clay, so it's all localized materials. And did you know that Nike started 3D printing shoes in 2013? So it's been around for quite a long time. And also, lastly, if you think about 3D printing, we can print with chocolate, we can print with pasta. So what about lomo saltados with 3D printed plant-based meat? So you're getting ready for work, you're thinking about what you're gonna do today, and AI has played a role in your coffee. And the interesting thing about AI is that AI is used to sort your coffee beans on the basis of color, grade, shape, size. So AI is used a lot in your daily coffee. The interesting thing is Starbucks, for example, uses AI to figure out where to place new stores, predict the revenue of those stores based on weather patterns, traffic patterns, the use of their mobile app, And every time you use a mobile app, they're collecting all kinds of data about you so that they can forecast sales, make recommendations, and do a better job of building loyalty between you and their brand. So while you're waiting for your coffee to brew, you're thinking about, let's have some pan con queso. And 80% of the wheat that comes into Peru comes mainly from Canada and Argentina. And there's a really high probability that precision agriculture was used to grow that wheat, which means drones, sensors, camera technology to basically increase crop yield by hectare and to reduce the water usage and reduce pest impact upon the wheat crops. So your daily breakfast is tied into precision agriculture. So you're drinking your coffee, you finished your pan de queso, you really need to get dressed because you're running late. And you think about what you're going to wear, you throw open your closet door and you know exactly what you're wearing today. It's going to be that laser imprinted denim suit that you bought last week, which was manufactured at a textile factory in Vietnam. And the interesting thing about this is that the way that if you ever see those distressed jeans with people, how many of you have a pair of those distressed jeans with the holes in them? Okay, that used to be done through a chemical process. It was environmentally not very sustainable. It was dangerous for the employees in the textile factory to do it. But now they use lasers for this process. This is how your jeans are distressed. So these are robotically controlled lasers that are basically cutting and tailoring a design on your clothing to make it look like distressed jeans. It's amazing, isn't it? No chemicals and much safer for the employees to use. So now you're dressed, you're ready to go to work, you've got your commute, you have to deal with Lima traffic. And I was looking out my hotel window at the traffic this morning thinking to myself, yeah, I can understand why traffic is so frustrating in Lima. But the interesting thing is that AI plays a really big role in traffic, in alerting you to road hazards. In the case of the Waze app, predictive analysis is used to basically create alerts for certain roads that are very congested at certain times of day so that you can bypass those roads and find another route. Near my house, there is a particular part of the freeway where in the morning when you're going there, it's 60 to 70 miles per hour without issue. In the afternoon, starting around 2:30 to 3:30, everything slows down to about 15 to 20 miles an hour on that same stretch of road, just because of the reverse of the traffic patterns. During COVID, when no one was really working at the offices and we were all working at home, Waze had to readjust all their data and only use current data so that it would give the driver the correct information instead of information that was based on years of driving data prior to the pandemic. So your AI plays a role in your commute every day, believe it or not. And if you kind of bundle in things like Waze, cameras, sensor, Google Maps, Lima Expressa, all these things basically are supposedly to make your commute a little bit easier. So while you're driving to work, don't forget that one of your car parts in your car was 3D printed with metal. So now you've arrived at your office, and you know those buttons where you push the elevator and it tells you go to elevator A or go to elevator B to go up to the floor of your office? Well, that's basically using AI to signal to the elevator where you want to go, and it's one of the most efficient ways of power usage in buildings now is what they call destination elevators. And so they're much more efficient, they use less energy, and you're going to see a lot more of them as buildings get retrofitted all around the world. So AI is improving your workplace in a lot of different ways. Smart buildings are becoming more and more the norm. And you're starting to see sensors that are triggered to turn the lights on, turn the lights off, turn the air conditioning on, turn the air conditioning off. All this is basically part of the whole smart building category to help the building basically use less energy and be much more efficient in reducing electricity bills. So the other thing that's kind of interesting is you know, Zoom now has an AI component, so it can basically transcribe meeting notes if you haven't tried it yet. And it's actually, I just learned recently that the new iPhones that are coming out are going to have much more smart autocorrect software in the texting capabilities. So instead, it'll basically understand more about the context when you're texting and put the right word there. So it won't basically write the word duck anymore. So you get to the office, you do your meetings, one of your colleagues pops her head into your office and says, hey, don't forget that we're going to Sara's birthday for drinks afterwards after the office. So you think about, you've got to buy a gift for your colleague. So you go online, you choose the gift, and you specify the delivery time to be about 90 minutes from now. And once the delivery time comes up, you go down to the courtyard of your building and you wait for the drone delivery to arrive with that little gift for your colleague. Interestingly enough, in the United States, more than 70% of the US population lives within 1 hour of an Amazon warehouse. So we're starting to see an increase in small package delivery with certain types of items, basically small payload issues of just a few kilograms, for example. But drone delivery has been used to deliver COVID vaccines in the United States, especially in rural areas that were severely damaged through storms or rain or mudslides or things like that. During the COVID pandemic in very rural areas, they were delivering the COVID vaccine. And in Abu Dhabi, United Parcel Service, UPS, has a partnership with the health ministry there, and they're delivering medications and vaccines and other things like that throughout the United Arab Emirates. So drone delivery is not quite there yet. There's a lot of regulations, there's a lot of issues associated with it, but the United States FAA just approved a very specific model of drones that will be used for last mile delivery and small package delivery. So that's something to think about when you're doing your birthday shopping for somebody. So, okay, so you're back in the lobby, you push the button for the destination elevator, and you're back up to your office because it's Wednesday and today is team lunch day. It's the monthly luncheon that you have with your team. And AI is going to play a role in your lunch as well. Your food delivery apps are using artificial intelligence to understand what the demand patterns are for what products are being ordered, so they can adjust their food inventory, their packaging materials inventory. They can also adjust their staffing levels based on events, based on weather, based on many, many different factors and conditions. And so AI is definitely playing a role in your food delivery. And I think that's a lomo saltado on the lower left with plant-based meat. So after a few hours of emails, after a couple more Zoom calls, it's almost 6:30, and it's time to leave the office to go out for cocktails with your colleagues. And so you basically, I want you to understand that cocktails are playing a role with AI as well. ChatGPT, there's a bar in San Francisco called the Raven, and you can actually input the alcohol that you have in your cabinet today, in addition to what kind of flavor profile you want for your drink. So if you want something that's sweet or tangy or salty, for example, you can input that, and basically ChatGPT will spit out a cocktail recipe for you to try at home. So this may basically put all the bartenders out of a job at some point in time in the future, but the nice part is it'll still be making cocktails for us to taste and test. And there's also, robotics are playing a role in cocktails as well. There's a robot in Las Vegas called the Tipsy Robot, and this particular robot can make 100 cocktails in 1 hour. And hopefully the video will show up. There we go. So you can see that this is a multi-axis robot, and all the main ingredients are hanging from the ceiling, and it's basically just pre-programmed to go in there and build the cocktail based on whatever ingredients should be in there. So you can see that robotics are playing a very interesting role in what's going on today. So you come home after a long but good day, you crawl into bed on top of sheets that robotics were used to manufacture the sheets, the measuring of the fabric, the cutting, the sewing, the precision packaging of the sheets, and you turn over onto your side and you think, exponential technologies are really everywhere, every day. Thank you.